Now we had the PPI numbers come out this morning, the price producer index, and those figures rose 0.3%. And that's the opposite of what the government was estimating. Now that spells problems for the Fed, and we can pretty much put a nail in the coffin that the Fed will not be cutting rates this year. And I've got a feeling it's going to get worse. We had the CPI numbers earlier this week, and now we have the PPI numbers showing us that inflation is coming back. And this is at the same time that oil and gasoline prices are muted. So what happens when these commodities turn up? And they most likely will in the next few months. We're going to see inflation come roaring back. And in fact, the Fed, they're going to have to reverse course. And they're going to want to actually raise rates. Now, they're not going to hike rates during this election year. They'll wait till after. But with 100% certainty, I can say the Fed is not going to be cutting rates this year. Now, the layoffs continue, folks, and it's nonstop. Now, Nike had their earnings, and they announced that they're cutting 2% of their workforce, and that equates to about 1,500 people. And these layoff announcements are nonstop. If a company is announcing their earnings, there's a good likelihood that coinciding with that is going to be announced layoffs. And right now, no one in the financial media seems to be concerned. But in my opinion, this is the big elephant in the room. And you're not going to be able to hide this big stinky object for long. Because if you have inflation coming back and a good chunk of Americans being laid off, it's going to end in a disaster. But for right now, we'll see how long they can keep this house of cards glued up. Now, earlier in the week in San Francisco, a crowd in the Chinatown district set fire to a driverless car, a Waymo. And I don't know whether the people set fire to the car in a revolt to the technology, but this could easily be a problem going forward for some of these technologies. And if people feel threatened that this technology might take their job or already is taking their job, you're going to see more acts like this in the future. Now, Atlanta's Federal Reserve head, Raphael Bostic, has said that the Fed is going to take his time and they are in no rush to cut rates. And these guys are singing a different tune than they were 1 month ago. And I think we're going to see even a more drastic turnaround in narrative about cutting rates. We're going to begin hearing them talk about raising rates as we get towards the summer months. And it's going to be very interesting because the administration needs the markets to be up. They need positive economic numbers coming out. But at the same time, the Fed is going to have to walk a tightrope to keep inflation down. And at the same time, not sending the economy into a tailspin. In my opinion, it's already too late because the Fed is going to lose the battle on inflation. And the guy on the street, he's going to get the short end of the stick. He's going to have to deal with inflation and at the same time dealing with these pink slips. Now, the steelmaker Cleveland-Cliffs announced Wednesday that they're going to be closing a tin plant in West Virginia, and that's going to affect 900 people. And whenever I see these big plants close down in these small areas, that has a gigantic effect. And we're talking about railroad workers, restaurant workers. For a plant like this to close down, that's pretty much the end of the town. And it'll be no coming back for those people. So whenever I see an announcement like that, that's a big deal. Now, it's even a bigger deal because Cleveland-Cliffs' rival, U.S. Steel, is being taken over by a Japanese company. And if Cleveland-Cliffs is closing plants, what do you think is going to happen to some U.S. Steel plants once they're taken over by the Japanese? So this might just be the beginning in the steel industry. Steel, aluminum, tin. If you're working in one of these industries or somehow affiliated with this industry, I'd be on guard right now. Now, Nike said that they are going to cut 2% of their workers, and that equates to about 1,500 workers. And their reasoning is demand weakness. And we're seeing that from every company that's announcing earnings. Now, Adidas had their earnings a few days ago, and their rhetoric was similar. Now, if you like this type of content, please like and subscribe. Thanks for watching.